Plus, like I said, it's a strategic play. So the added bonus to being 12th pick is that not only that, but you also lock up the number one waiver wire to start out, or the number one waiver to start out.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've kind of did some research in and discussed and looked at was having, after the draft is complete, actually doing another draw to randomize the starting waiver order. Now, that would just be the starting order. It'll still act the same way. If you end up with number one, then once you use it, you move to the bottom of the list and you got to work your way back up. But we, again, just think it adds a little bit more random and a little bit more, it's more fairness, to everybody, rather than being stuck with a middle waiver wire pick that takes you 3 or 4 weeks to move up. You have an opportunity to be first or even last. So it's just another balancing tactic to be used to help make the league even more fair for people, because we do have a range of people. We have people that really don't pay attention a lot to fantasy, just casual people, and we have people that like live and breathe and eat it, and they just know. I know that Creamer probably knows every single rookie that's going to go, first round tonight at the draft,
right?
And I can name like 4 of them, and I can name what schools they're from, but he's going to have he's going to be better at me for the for the rookie picks in a draft than I would be. So with the waiver wire this way, it kind of just gives it, again, it makes it where there's more randomization to it, and you get more of an ability to just to be fair, kind of be across the board, give everybody an option or an opportunity to succeed.
And speaking of that, as far as keepers go, we are going to keep it the same, because I think what we did last year and the past couple of years and going forward, only champions. If you win, if you have won before, you have a keeper. All right. So if you was to win next year, Josh, and allude to you getting the belt and the money, you would have a keeper. You would have a keeper going forward. If you ever won again, you don't get any more keepers. The only way you can gain a keeper, of course, is if you've never won before and you win. So that's a bonus you get for winning. Of course, it's been brought to my attention, and really this one really only affects me because I kept Julio Jones last year and LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy didn't end up on my team by the end of the season. I traded him to LaShawn, I believe. He kept Adrian Peterson, William Martin, who gets a keeper, is a 2011 or 10 champion. He kept Des Bryant, who he traded to him. So it really only affects me. Barnaby kept Jamal Charles, but I believe he tore his ACL and is no longer on his team. So the only person this rule that I'm about to say really affects me is you're not allowed to keep the same keeper for consecutive or back-to-back years. So I feel like everybody in the league will be on board with this. It keeps, I'm not going to be allowed to keep Julio Jones again this year. Because I'm not going to lie, if we didn't do this rule, then I would highly consider keeping Julio. I mean, he was top 2 or 3 receivers in the league. So we just feel like if you have a keeper, you can't just hoard one player season after season after season.
Well, and somebody like Will, who ended up with Todd Gurley, I mean, he just came in the league last year.
Yeah,
and
he's going to be the starting. Yeah, he's going to be the starting.
So he could have him locked up. He could have him locked up for the next 10 years until he finishes out, and it would suck for any other UGA fans out there that want a chance to get him, because then they have to trade for him.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So you can't have the same keeper for consecutive or back-to-back years. I think I talked to 1 or 2 owners that don't have keepers, and they were all for it. They're like, yes, especially one's a Julio Jones fan, he's a Falcons fan, and he was like, yeah. He's like, absolutely. He's like,
I wonder who that is.
Yeah, he was all about it. So I think that's this is one of the rules. I think that we're just talking about it, but yeah, I mean, I'll pretty much go out and say that's going to happen. And going forward, this won't just be like a rule for this year. Going forward, I always keep track of all the keepers for every year. So going forward, if you kept player A this year, you're not allowed to keep him next year. Well, and he goes back into the draft, and anyone's got a shot at it.
And for anybody that's kind of going, wait a minute, you got to remember that if you're going to implement a rule like this is the year to do it, because it doesn't. Anybody with keepers, it does not affect except for Jamie.
Yeah.
So Jamie's the one that kind of came up with the rule, and he's the only one that gets affected by it. So I mean, because nobody really has you don't really have a leg to stand on, because it's not like you were going to keep somebody you had anyway, and get mad that this rule is implemented. It's not like it's being done to screw you over specifically this year.
It only affects me, literally.
Now before the draft. So if you keep somebody this year, that you have a keeper, then just go ahead and know that
next year you won't be able.
If they end up on your team at the end of the year, regardless if you trade them away and then get them back, regardless of how that happens, you will not be able to keep that player if they end up on your team at the end of the year.
If they're your keeper this year.
Correct.
That I like that rule. Speaking from the group that doesn't have any keepers, I like that because it's going to lessen their value just a little bit. It's going to balance it out just a little bit more. But you know what else it does? It seems like it's going to instigate maybe trades a little more as well, since you're not going to keep this guy at the end of the year. Maybe towards later on in the season, there's a little trade value right there. So last year I know we didn't have a whole lot of trades leading up to midseason. Maybe this will help shake things up.
And really, not only to facilitate more trades, but Jamie, as commissioner, has really taken it in the talks that we've had. He wants this year to really start again trying to make things more fair, more balanced for everybody around, to kind of give everybody a better edge and stuff, or to take away, just to kind of make things fair for everybody. So again, this is another rule where it only affects him. It's only kind of really, if you want to say, screwing him over. Yeah. But it's in the long run, it's going to make it fair for everybody, like you, Josh, that don't have a keeper. You're not going to have that burden of going, well, what's the point of me, having this person or getting this person or whatever. So
yeah, like I said, everyone else, their keepers last year either got injured and are no longer on their team, or they traded away. Dez was traded, AP was traded, which was yours and Will's keepers. So it only affects me this year, but we've got it out in the open going forward. Everybody knows. So like Josh, if he was to win it all next year, then you would know. All right, well, you'd have to think, well, I could keep this guy this year. Or, but he's projected to go late in the first or even early second. So do I keep somebody else instead, and I can still have a shot to draft? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and that being said, because that's good to bring it back, if we do end up drafting, or if we do end up getting a draft order early, you will have to be required to name your picks, your keeper picks, before that draft happens. So so that way it stays the same. Last year, everybody had to announce their keepers before that draft. So same thing, same rules will apply. So it's not going to be like you get to mock, 6 weeks or whatever, and then decide who you're going to keep. You actually have to name it that day.
Yeah. So you guys will know who will be available, the non-keepers.
Right.
Again, you'll know that Julio Jones is going to be available in the first round if you want it.
Yeah.
Everybody will know.
It makes the playing field even more level for everybody, and takes away that. If there's any doubt out there that says, hey, they get an edge for having a keeper, this is going to help reduce that edge that you may see there, because, again, it's going to give you more time to understand what your options are, who you can get, what your order is going to be, etc. Make picks. You can trade your picks if you want to, just not with Asian Kid. And you'll be good. It's all right.
All right, so a lot of these rules I'm liking so far. A lot of the changes that you guys are implementing or even looking at, like you guys said, they're towards balancing out the field for everybody, which is, it's always a good thing. Do you have anything else in that area?
I'm supposed to get with the competition committee, as we always do, and we're going to talk over actual rules as far as number of players, slots, IDP versus no IDP. We're actually talking about possibly even switching from NFL.com to Yahoo. Nothing's set in stone yet, but we're going to at least have the discussion. Points, bonuses. We're gonna talk about all that. But from what everybody tells me, they love our point system. Everyone's got one or two things they would tweak, but I have not had someone. The consensus isn't, I hate the point system. I hate the way that, I hate that we have IDP versus team. Like, from what I gather, everyone's pretty happy with the way everything's set up in the league. So, but like as always, we're going to do our due diligence. We're going to look at everything, and if we can make the league better, tweaking a rule or two, or our scoring system, we will do that. So,
well, and I think it's interesting too, because again, last year the bonuses got pretty much chopped in half.
Right.
And if you go look, because Jamie activated the league, I think, or maybe Will activated the league the other day.
Yeah.
And I went today and logged in and just kind of looked at it, and you can go look at the history, and it shows like, the most points scored each week from the different years. In other words, and it was crazy to see like in the past 5 years, like the top points scored in any given week was like 498, 475, 4 something. For last year, the top score was like 380. Yeah. So I mean, it chopped the median 100 points on average off of an average score. So it really cleared those ranges much more. So that way, again, it's going to kind of close that gap. If you don't have, somebody ends up with a bunch of prime players that's doing really well, you're going to have a better opportunity to kind of catch up when you have those guys. So
yeah,
right.
It's less of an X factor as it once was before. I mean, before if you hit the second bonus on any, it was like 50 points plus the 25 points you got for the first bonus. So you're talking 75 points swing for just one player.
That was like
makes or breaks people. This past year it was 15 and 25. So while you may have a couple players hit bonuses, you may have a couple other guys that have like 10 receptions, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they're up there. That's equivalent to someone that hits just 100 yards, 5 receptions, and no touchdowns. So it kind of, if you have consistent players, it keeps you in the running versus someone that has 2 or 3 bad players, but the rest of their team are home run bonus hitters. It kind of bridges that gap. So.
And for the majority of the year, there wasn't like one person that just blew everybody. Like it was a constant.
Yeah.
It was like
you
might win 3 weeks or 4 weeks in a row, and then you all of a sudden you were down, up.
I was 2 and 4 to start the season.
I mean, you got to realize I started out, I think 8-0 or something like that, or 7-0, and I had to beat Creamer to make it into
last week. There was only like 1 or 2 people that was out of 12 people who were fighting for playoff spots. It was last week. Never had that before. We usually had 1 or 2 guys. I think you were even eligible, Josh.
Oh yeah.
Like you had
if Creamer had beat me.
Yeah.
But he didn't score more than 227 points or something like that.
You would have got in.
Then Josh would have gotten in instead of us. Something like that. It was crazy.
So, and I think the bridging bringing the bonuses down and bridging that gap had a lot to do with that because
it kept people in it. I mean, everybody was still part of it. So we had a good time.
And Dustin went in with 3 and 10, all these injuries, and in the losers bracket, and he just started demolishing people. He was determined he wasn't going to come in last, have to pay double, or have to sacrifice his spot in the league. So. I think, like you said, it's a lot more balance and it's just better and it's more fairness, and that's what we're looking for. Everyone has fun in our league, and we just want to give everybody an equal opportunity to succeed. As cliche as that sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. We're all here for the fun of it, for the competition. And that's, I think, all these changes, even the changes last year, like you mentioned, the points and everything. I thought that was amazing, by the way. That did just absolutely huge differences, like you cited with the numbers.
Yeah.
And
like you said, you can go look at all that. You can go back ever since we've been using NFL.com, and you can go look back at every week, seasons, point totals. You can, and I suggest everyone do that when we get closer to the draft, or go back and look, and you can see, like he said, the point system of previous years versus this past year, and you can see.
Because you got to remember that wasn't like the most points for any given week that season. That was the average points for a team during that season. Yeah. So the average points for the team that scored the most dropped 100 in one season just with the bonus rules change. So the average points dropped.
Right.
The crazy part is not just the max points for one game, but it's average points. So. Like I said, I saw that, and it blew my mind because I didn't think – I knew that the bonuses were a big factor, and I knew that it led to a lot of blowouts, but I didn't realize just how big of a differential it is when it comes to, to that. So, or how big they play in, because, that's – if you're saying the average dropped by 100 points, that means that on average you had 2 players that didn't, they got their bonuses cut in half. That was the difference maker.
Yeah.
That was your 100 points difference. So just 2 players alone was the difference.
Yeah, no, it's definitely huge. And I think these new changes coming up for this next season they're going to be